Hey guys, Kyle, the Death Knight of Anime here, bringing you my review for One Piece chapter 972. Yeah, a chapter I was not expecting to do today. I thought I was going to do it on Sunday, but actually, that's the other thing. Apparently, from like what I saw from last chapter, it says that it's also going on break March 1st, just like it's going on break until March 1st, just like My Hero Academia. So, like, I'm kind of out of the loop on this one. Can anyone tell me if there's anything going on from like now to like March 1st that might be going on in Japan? Because honestly, it seems a little it seems a little seems a little coincidental that both One Piece and My Hero Academia and assumingly Black Clover and all the other titles are going on break. Like that to me says says to me that something is going on in Japan. So if someone can kind of like tell me what's going on, that'd be great. Unless it has something to do with the whole again controversy with My Hero Academia, but I don't. Yeah, if someone could tell me, that'd be good because I'm out of loop on this one. Um, but so let's get into the chapter itself though. One Piece chapter 972. So big thing with this chapter is we learned that the Kozuki clan were the ones who closed off Wano from the rest of the world to protect it from a great external power. And when I first read that, I thought Oden was talking about Joy Boy. But after reading it again, I think the great external power that the Kozuki, I think it's fair to say that the great external power the Kozuki clan wanted to protect Wano from was what would become the world government today. And and the figure they're waiting for is the next Joy Boy. In this case, more than likely Luffy. So that when the time comes to reopen the borders, well, borders all together, like Wano and Joy Boy, they'll be able to come out of hiding and finish the work that the Kazuki clan had started. And what makes me think what makes me think this even more so is that if you is that they are is that the if you remember the Kazuki clan, the Wano is that if you remember like Kazuki clan one like Wano is pretty much like is one place that it's basically like because it's closed its borders, it's not necessarily like part of like the world government in itself. It's completely closed itself off from like the rest of the world. Like it's not necessarily like a it's not necessarily a it's not necessarily even a part of the like the pretty much reverie if as we know it. So yeah, that in itself it already shows there was like there is reason as to why so I want to close itself off is because they had wanted nothing to do with the world government. So that in itself like shows that yeah they're waiting for the right time in order to open up the gates again and possibly like pretty much and finish the work that and not only finish the work that the Kozuki clan had started, but also to but also to pretty much in order to possibly with Joy Boy to free the world of the of the of the world government by bringing back the void, but by bringing back the country that existed among the void century. Probably. That's my take on it. Um, Now, one thing I found kind of tragic, but also hilarious at the same time, is that even when we see like how this chapter pretty much details like the rest of how Oden's execution played out. And if you and it really it's kind of hilariously tragic how even the details of how we were told Oden died was only from a certain point was from a certain point of view falsified, because as we see in this chapter, he survived Oden survived from being boiled to death, and only after he was shot did he really die in the pot. And did he really die in the pot? But in the end, that only like with his death, it only invigorated the people and sparked the flames of rebellion. The only hitch was Toki sending them all 20 years into the future, was 20 years in the future, because everyone who survived 20 years in the future. Because by then, the flames of rebellion, while still strong among the loyalists of the Kozuki, had also fizzled out among the populace or remained silently loyal due to Kaido and Orochi's strong-arm tactics. But at the same time, through Oden's final words, he at least managed to keep the spirit of Wano alive in the people and his dream and his goal. He wanted his dream and his goal to carry on, and he's even though many of Wano in present day are beaten down, that dream and that goal still lives within them. And I'll tell you right now, I don't get emotional often when reading manga. Usually basically anime does that more for me, but by like triggering a lot more of an emotional reaction out of me. But Oden's final words before dying were absolutely perfect. And again, in some ways, it shows how the horrific descriptor and image of him that we were fed earlier on in this arc of him being boiled as Oden's soup really wasn't as bad, and like all character and like every other characters who all the other characters die in One Piece, he took his death in stride. He took it with absolute pride. Like he said, I'm the one. I don't care if I'm die. I'm going to be the one who basically dies, and I'm going to be the one whose name is basically told through basically stories, through basically drinks. Like he's fine with just being that person who just, as long as he can make enough of an impact, he's fine with just being remembered as that one person you can just kind of you can remember through just casual conversation. Like it just shows the depth of the person that Oden was. Like he just wanted to be always for the people, always looking after the people. Of course, getting back to Toki, we see it was actually we get reinforced even more that how much of a necessity it was, how a necessity of what she did by sending everyone 20 years into the future, and how much of a necessity it was for her to do that, because Oden had requested she do it due to the knowledge he gained from traveling to Laugh-Tale. And honestly, like a lot of this chapter, it shows just how much of his how much Oden was pretty much driving a lot of the events that pretty much came after his death. Like he pretty much knew he would die, but he wanted to make sure that his legacy, his ideals, his dream, it would get carried on, and he wanted to, and he basically, and in some ways, even when he was locked up, he basically planned everything that happened after this. So yeah, that happened after this. But on top of and through this whole reveal of how much Oden had pre-planned, it does sort of give final confirmation that Luffy and the Straw Hats are the ones that Wano has been waiting for. And through Oden entrusting Toki with his swords, it definitely teases us even more that, yeah, Zoro, he's gonna play a pretty major role in Kaido's defeat, and he's not just gonna like defeat one enemy and then be in the background and let Luffy take Kaido on by himself. No, those swords are the key to defeating Kaido. The only question though is who's gonna wield the second one, because pretty much the more I thought about it, the more I'm starting to wonder if we're actually going to see Hiyori face down Kaido alongside Zoro and Luffy, because pretty much wielding the pretty much the heaven sword, I think is what it was called, because like the thing with the second sword is that Momonosuke, at the end of the day, is still too young in order to wield either of his father's swords. So that in itself, it does kind of open the possibility for either like Zoro in order to wield both swords, or for him to wield the pretty much demon, for Zoro to wield the demon sword, and for the underworld sword, and for Hiyori in order to wield the heaven sword. But now, or like us now, I am kind of hoping that it does go that way in terms of like Zoro wielding one sword, Hiyori wielding another, just in order to give her something more to do. But and I'm hoping it isn't just Zoro wielding both swords, because yeah, that would actually be very, very interesting. Like just in the way of showing that yeah, like Zoro is like in the way of showing that yeah, Zoro kind of represents, Zoro and Luffy represent the ones Wano have been waiting for, and Hiyori wielding the other sword kind of shows that yeah, like of Oden's legacy living on, pretty much, almost. I hope that's the case. Now, with all that being said, the final blurb at the end of the chapter kind of concerns me a little bit, in the sense where we could be cutting back to the present timeline after this, and I really hope we don't do that yet. Like just one more chapter until we cut back, because the thing is, I know I keep harping on this, but we really need to touch base or get some kind of clue to what happened to Denjiro after all this, because I've got like, the thing is, I've got enough of an idea of how his reveal might play out, but at the same time, like, we just need something solid in terms of what happened to Denjiro. And if we do end up cutting back to like present day after this chapter, like Oda, like he needs to be quick on the draw in terms of addressing as to what happened to Denjiro, because right now we are kind of headed, like we're probably going to be cutting, like right now we're kind of in a like when it comes to present day, we're kind of at a bit of a standstill right now. So yeah, like something needs to happen here. And one minor thing to talk about though is that the thing that makes me hope we get one more chapter of the flashback though is that in certain places near the end of the chapter, it did feel a little rushed, which makes me wonder if the editing department told Oda to hurry up with the flashback conclusion or something like that, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah guys, that's my review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and what's your control. Death Knight of Anime, signing off. Later guys.